man. He needs to be in there with Charlo. Yeah, both of them. He needs to fight Charlo. Canelo got to stop picking his own opponents, man.
What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So what you heard was former heavyweight, iconic, retired, Hall of Fame, undisputed heavyweight world champion, superstar boxer, Iron Mike Tyson, when asked his thoughts on four-division world champion, Mexican superstar boxer, who is now the undisputed super middleweight world champion, Saul Canelo Alvarez, and is widely considered to be the number one best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. Canelo Alvarez is now 57 wins, 1 loss, 2 draws, 39 big wins by way of knockout. He is 31 years of age, standing 5'8", with a 70-inch arm reach. He recently, this past Saturday, he defeated former IBF super middleweight world champion superstar boxer Caleb Sweethand Plant, who is now 21 wins, 1 loss, no draws, 12 wins by way of knockout, 29 years of age, stands 6'1" with a 74-inch arm reach. So, Mike Tyson, he stated before this fight even started, when he gave his prediction, he stated that Caleb Plant was going to get brutally knocked out and sent to the hospital. That was Mike Tyson's prediction. Well, in the 11th round, that prediction came true, okay? He dropped Caleb Plant twice and ultimately knocked him out in the 11th round, okay? So with that said, Mike Tyson, he feels like Canelo Alvarez is picking and choosing his opponents, as many people have been thought of when you think of Canelo Alvarez, right? Canelo Alvarez, he could have been undisputed at middleweight. That's where he stated he wanted to become undisputed. And he could have had the opportunity to create history then. He's became the first Mexican-born fighter to become undisputed and hold all 4 major sanction belts. Okay, he's become only the 6th fighter in the history of the sport of boxing to be undisputed male. Okay, now we know you have Katie Taylor, who's undisputed. We have Clarissa Shields, who's undisputed 2 times over. Cecilia Brækhus was undisputed. So in the women division, we have 3 women who were undisputed. Okay, but as males, we only have 6. You have Bernard Hopkins. Then he was defeated by Jermaine Taylor, who made Jermaine Taylor undisputed. You have Terrence Crawford. You have Josh Taylor. You have Alexander Usyk. And now you have Saul Canelo Alvarez. Okay. And so he created history. But he had the opportunity to create history at middleweight after he defeated Danny the Miracle Man Jacobs. And after he beat Gennady Triple G Golovkin. He held all 3 major sanction bodies. He held the WBC, the WBA, the IBF, and the Ring Magazine. He only needed the WBO that was held by now still undefeated 2-division world champion, reigning WBO middleweight world champion, superstar boxer Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade. Okay, Canelo Alvarez, he opted to go in a different direction and not fight Demetrius Andrade. Okay, he chose to go in a completely different direction when he was only 1 fight away from becoming undisputed and creating history, which made sense for him to go ahead and fight Demetrius Andrade. But Demetrius Andrade is 6'1" middleweight, that's a southpaw, that's very slick, has power in both hands, very accurate, has a decorated amateur background, and he opted not to go in that direction. Okay, so he beat Triple G. He beat Danny Jacobs, okay? And he held all 3 major sanction bodies, okay? So with that said, he was only 1 belt away from becoming undisputed, and he opted not to, okay? And after the Danny Jacobs fight, he chose to then jump up 2 weight classes from 160 to 175, skip over the fight with Demetrius Andrade, and he dared to be great and challenged Sergey Crusher Kovalev for his WBO light heavyweight title, in which he beat Sergey Kovalev, knocking Sergey Kovalev out. Okay, not the most impressive performance, and Sergey Kovalev wasn't very assertive of himself. Okay, and so with that said, he avoided that fight. Then he came back down and he fought Caleb Smith for the vacant WBC and the vacant and Caleb Smith's WBA title, okay? Which he could have at that point in time fought, Demetrius Andre, but he came back down to 168. But he did so when former two-time super middleweight WBC world champion Mexican superstar boxer David Benavidez lost the belt on the scale. When David Benavidez lost the belt on the scale, Canelo Alvarez, he immediately petitioned to fight for the vacant WBC title. And he attempted to do so against Avni Yildirim, who's a good friend of his, whom he later on chose to still fight anyway, okay? But many people thought and felt, well, he's avoiding David Benavidez, okay? And what David Benavidez brings to the table: 24 wins, no losses, no draws, 21 wins by way of knockout, 6'1" with a 75-inch arm reach, 24 years of age, okay? Very big guy, okay? David Benavidez, he lost his belt on the scale at the height of the global pandemic when he took on Roma Alexis Angulo, one of the first fights back, and he lost his belt on the scale. Now, prior to that, he had lost his belt off the scale as well after he beat Ronald Graville, because of, recreational use outside of the sport of boxing, and the WBC stripped him of the belt, okay? So immediately, Canelo Alvarez, he petitioned, okay? Now, he fought Angulo. This was August of 2020, okay? When David Benavidez, he lost his belt on the scale. That was August of 2020. Immediately, Canelo Alvarez, he petitioned the WBC, World Boxing Council, President Mauricio Suleiman, and the board of 32 members to fight for the vacant WBC title, okay? They initially declined, that being the zone, the platform and network which he was fighting on, and his promotional company, Golden Boy Promotions, because he wanted to fight Avni Yildirim for the vacant WBC title, okay? And oddly enough, the WBC, 31 of the 32 board members approved of Canelo Alvarez fighting Avni Yildirim for the vacant belt. Now, Avni Yildirim, if you look at his history before the Canelo Alvarez fight, he hadn't fought in years, okay? He had lost to, Anthony Durrell, okay? And Avni Yildirim, that was in 2019. Then he came back and he fought Canelo Alvarez 2 years later, okay? After losing the vacant WBC opportunity to Anthony Durrell, 2 years later, without fighting, Canelo Alvarez petitioned to fight Avni Yildirim for that title, okay? And Canelo Alvarez, they later on fought anyway, okay? But the point is, August, he wanted to fight him. They denied it. Then Canelo Alvarez, he went through a very, tough and public, breakup with Golden Boy Promotions as he was getting away from that promotional company. And so then December, he fought Caleb Smith for the vacant WBC title that was vacated by David Benavidez, and for Caleb Smith's WBA title. He beat Caleb Smith, okay, via unanimous decision, okay? Then we know the rest is history. So David Benavidez, he also stated that Canelo Alvarez, he never looked to fight me for that belt. He was only looking to fight for the vacant WBC title immediately. How soon? And he was looking to fight for the belt as soon as David Benavidez vacated the belt. Now, we also know when he was at middleweight, he also avoided fighting Jermall Charlo, undefeated 2-division world champion, who was the WBC mandatory challenger. He avoided that fight. That's when the WBC, World Boxing Council, and President Mauricio Suleiman introduced to the boxing world franchise champion. They franchise champion tagged Canelo Alvarez, so he didn't have to honor his mandatory challenger, okay? Which it didn't matter because he didn't fight in 160 after that anyway, like I stated. He moved up and he fought Sergey Kovalev at 75. Then he came back down to 68. He fought Caleb Smith, so he never fought at 160 again anyway. But they franchised him so he didn't have to fight Jermall Charlo. And they elevated Jermall Charlo to super champion, okay? Also, when he was competing at 154, he started competing at a catchweight of 55 when guys like Andre Ward was still at the height of their career, okay? So it's warranted from Mike Tyson and what he's saying. He became undisputed in under a calendar year. and people want to see Canelo Alvarez fight the absolute best there is to offer. Okay, I personally think that Canelo Alvarez would beat Jermall Charlo. I personally believe that after Demetrius Andre's outing with Liam Smith wasn't very impressive. He looked very vulnerable. I don't think he could beat Canelo Alvarez at this time. And David Benavidez' lack of defense, I don't think he could beat Canelo Alvarez. Okay, but it looks like he'll be fighting David Benavidez in May. So we have to see how this all plays out. But according to Mike Tyson, he's tired of Canelo Alvarez just fighting anybody and picking and choosing and stop fighting the best. Listen to what he had to say.
He needs to be able to Charlo, being able to chill. He needs to be able to
the cellos. He need to be in there with the cellos. I love that part. You gotta stop picking his
own opponents, man. He needs to be in there
with the cellos. That's all I got for y'all. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.
Hi, my name is Heather Vahid Hardy, and you're watching Blue Blood Sports TV.